You're listening to Fusion Patrol, a listener-supported podcast. Each week, we take a single episode of a science fiction TV series, movie, or audio and overanalyze it to within an inch of its life. Welcome to the discussion. Hello and welcome to another episode of Fusion Patrol. I'm Eugene.
And I am Kenneth.
And tonight we are looking at Season 1, Episode 5 of The Invaders. Episode entitled Genesis. Episode synopsis. Prologue. Newport police officer Hal Corman makes a routine traffic stop, but when he is alerted to something suspicious in the back of the station wagon, he sees something that terrifies him. The driver, an invader, briefly uses the metal disc on him and speeds away, leaving Corman behind for dead. Act 1. David Vincent arrives at the Newport hospital, drawn by the incredible report in the press. Hard-boiled detective Greg Lukather, Corman's old friend, is immediately suspicious of Vincent. He plans to find the driver of the station wagon, and Vincent is his only suspect. Vincent goes to Corman's wife and, against the express wishes of Corman's psychiatrist, Dr. Grayson, convinces her to allow him to speak with Corman. Corman has been completely unresponsive since he arrived in the hospital, but he seems to react to Vincent's words. Dr. Grayson kicks everyone out when Corman gets agitated. Lukather has gotten a report on Vincent, and he knows he's a UFO loony. Vincent admits that it's all true, but insists that Lukather put a guard on Corman. Now that he's begun to speak, the invaders will kill him and make it look like a cerebral hemorrhage. He doesn't, and soon Corman is dead of a cerebral hemorrhage. A police officer arrives to arrest Vincent, but he is an invader and tries to kill Vincent, just as Lukather arrives to arrest Vincent. A gun battle breaks out, and Lukather witnesses an invader die. Act 2. Lukather is doubtful, but he cannot deny what he has seen so far. They also find the station wagon, which leads them to Celine Lowell, who works at the Newport Sea Lab. She is upset that Dr. Lanier, director of the lab, has gone missing, but her co-worker, Dr. Ken Harrison, wants to keep quiet so as to not mess up his research grants. When Lukather and Vincent question her about her station wagon, which she didn't realize was missing, she tells them about Lanier, about how he'd gotten ill the night before and had to be taken home from the lab, but did not return. Miss Lowell comments that Lanier only recently took over after the previous director died of a heart attack. He brought in an entirely new staff, save for her and Dr. Harrison. He completely changed the direction of their research and is building a new wing to the Sea Lab for studying the primordial origins of life on Earth. They are rushing to complete the new wing before an important meeting coming up very soon. Act 3. After Vincent, Lukather, and Miss Lowell leave to go to the police station, inside the Sea Lab, we see that Dr. Grayson is also an invader. He is using mind control on Dr. Harrison to get him to do what he is doing. He must complete his work so they can restore Lanier's human form. He is critical to their plans, and if he dies, their project will be set back months or even years. At the station, Lukather receives a call from Mrs. Corman. She claims that just before her husband died, he told her where to find the driver of the station wagon, a warehouse not far from the Sea Lab. Vincent is convinced it's a trap. Lukather goes anyway. Vincent and Miss Lowell follow him. Act 4. The invaders are ready to begin on Dr. Lanier. Vincent, investigating the warehouse, is trapped and finds that Lukather has already been taken prisoner. They are about to be killed in the regeneration tubes when the Sea Lab begins reviving Lanier. The process draws so much power that it blacks out the city, including the regeneration tubes. Vincent and Lukather make their escape and, with Miss Lowell, head to the Sea Lab. Sneaking their way into the lab, they are trapped once again, as they watch Lanier being reformed into a human. A fight breaks out. Our heroes manage to kill the power, and Dr. Harrison shakes off the mind control long enough to kill Dr. Grayson. A fire erupts. Lanier is killed, and the Sea Lab is burned completely to the ground. Epilogue. No point in going to the authorities yet again. Miss Lowell has had a nervous breakdown. Dr. Harrison remembers nothing, and the fire destroyed all evident. Lukather believes, but what good is that? The end. Okay. Well, Genesis, what did you think?
Overall, I enjoyed it. However, I keep encountering the drawbacks of episodic television. And the major problem is nothing here matters.
Not really, no. No. This is when I was doing my written reviews on the blog. I think this is the episode where I pointed out we might as well just start calling this plot A. Vincent discovers invaders. Vincent convinces somebody to believe that maybe the invaders are there. They thwart the invaders. All evidence destroyed. No point in bothering doing anything with this because no evidence. So on to the next plot A, and that's going to get old really quickly, if not already.
Yeah.
I also enjoy the episode because it's a little more, I don't know, a little more science-y fiction-y. We get a little bit of teasing about what the aliens are doing. And I like that.
And we get some teasing about what they really look like.
That too. We don't know if he was all the way back to alien form, though.
No, we don't.
Or whether, that's just, we might as well talk about it. I thought I kind of miss the old days of television where they could try to pull a trick like this and, throw a sack with, I don't know, what balloons or something in it into the water and light it in such a way you can't see it really except the shape and go, okay, there you go. And then kind of keep it. And so by replacing it with subsequent dummies that are a little more anthropomorphic each time with a couple bolts of lightning struck in there, it's very effective. It doesn't tell you anything at all about the aliens, except that they are very not human. And there you go. So, and it works.
It does
totally works. And it works pretty well when he dies too. I think
very well done.
I think they could have worked that a little bit better because there is, there's the shot of they kill the power, he's reverting, and then there's the shot of the colored water in the tank. And you're like, oh, he's completely dissolved. And then the next shot, there are bits of him breaking up.
Yes.
Like they got him out of order or something. But all in all, it would have been very effective if perhaps they had just had that liquid in the water along with the dummy breaking up. And then that would have been like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I do in fact miss those days because we don't need a huge CGI creature to make that work.
And besides, practical effects age better than CGI.
I have to assume that someday that won't be true, but it's like if you look at stop motion animation at the beginning of stop motion versus stop motion at the end of the stop motion era.
Yes.
The real masters did it better. King Kong is fantastic, but by the time you get to the end of that, they can do it better than they could in King Kong. And so therefore, if you looked at the two side by side, you would say, this one ages a little bit better. Early CGI really looks bad. It's like,
yes.
And it really does not date well. But I would assume they are reaching the point where it is virtually photorealistic. And then, it should date pretty well going forward. The only thing I can think of are the ones that are photorealistic is they still don't move.
They don't quite.
Right.
It's something off. It's like the end of Rogue One.
Yeah, it's close. It's really close. So I think in a few years it's going to be dead on. But and then in which case then it's gonna be fine. But if you look back and watch, let's see, it's Die Another Day, and watch that god awful CGI ice thing attacking Bond opposite thing. It's just awful.
I never saw that when I was thinking about the 1980s with The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, that one's Well, and groundbreaking though it was,
yes,
Tron
it
wasn't
was.
really that good looking.
Actually, yes. I mean, with the Last Starfighter, the story was really interesting, and I'm sure that 1984 people said, "Wow, look at those special effects." But now we watch it and think,
Yeah, they're not up to par. But then it's not like you can't tell that the stop motion stuff isn't real either.
that's
Well,
true.
it's just
I know, but still, you're talking about King Kong,
well,
and I've seen it, and it's like, but there is, but King Kong's personality still comes through,
right,
and that's
and
a
that
very
is
well
the
done.
brilliance of it. Yeah,
Yes,
that is the brilliance of it. But if you watch the actual animation, it's still jerky. It still doesn't move quite right. I think the speed is wrong. You know how they have to overcrank the film when a fake car goes off a cliff because a car falls at the wrong cars fall at the speed cars fall, but if it's supposed to be 1,000-foot cliff, it's got to take the length of time it would for something to fall 1,000-foot cliff. Whereas if you're filming a model that's 2 foot, you push a car off of it, it's not going to take that long. So they overcrank the clock, and it
yes,
just gives it that unreal speed look that it just doesn't look
yeah,
natural. And
exactly.
King Kong has that.
Yes,
Yes, his character shines through and everything, but yet there's something about it that's just a little too fluid and a little too time off. But this is not to pick on King Kong. It's a colossal film. It's an amazing film. I'm not talking about the new ones.
no, I mean Fay Ray.
Yeah, the Scream Queen herself.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the Invaders.
the Invaders. So, did they really destroy all the evidence? There was the warehouse across the street with the
Yeah,
regeneration
I
tubes.
would think there's evidence in there.
Although the aliens have been pretty darn good about dismantling and running away very quickly.
That's true.
And they didn't kill the two guys that were in that.
No, yeah, we'll kick
So
them out
they,
into the corridor.
yeah. So they might have said, "Yep, better start dismantling." Rule 1, do not get found.
Yes,
Here's one. So with regards to the idea that, nothing happens, nothing gets succeeded, nothing. I mean, that's not strictly true. He won a battle that he can never tell anybody about.
yes, and
And so we did
he did delay the invaders' plans by
maybe years. Yeah.
years, maybe, or something.
But he walks away from it. He doesn't go to the authorities. Lukather doesn't go to the authorities. And, Vincent has reason to do that. But I think that final scene where we see Mr. Pinky in the hospital
I saw
tells us
that.
that Lowell and Harrison will be dead soon.
That was my guess.
And maybe Lukather.
Yes,
They're gonna clean them up. Is that blood on Vincent's hands?
possibly.
We don't know how many other situations he's walked away from where the aliens have come along after him and cleaned up. I don't know. But in this one, it feels like they are saying they're not getting out of here alive. At
No.
least Miss Lowell.
Yeah, yeah. In the dialogue we heard that she would be in there for a couple of months. Probably not
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, not going to make it that long. They don't want her to come out of it and remember. Speaking of Miss Lowell,
Yes.
I see the Invaders book that you and I both have attributes her to Dr. Lowell, but she is
Yeah.
not referred to as a doctor at any point in this show or in the credits or anything else.
No,
She
she's
is
not.
Miss Lowell. And why is she there if she's not a doctor? And what there's two reasons behind that question. And the first is Lanier came in, he was an alien, he got rid of all of the staff except for Dr. Harrison and Miss Lowell. Harrison is doing what they want. What is Miss Lowell doing? Why didn't they just get rid of her too?
I'm not sure what she's doing except claiming that she's not in hysterics.
Yes. And to be fair, she is giving a very good Dr. Elizabeth Merrill imitation.
Oh, you had to get that one in there, huh?
Seriously, there are so many times in this episode when she's standing there, I'm going, wow, that is uncanny. how much she reminds me of Dr. Merrill when her hair's up in some of the episodes. For listeners who've not keyed in on that, from Man from Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
No relate. I actually looked to see if there was any relation between the two of them. Not that I can find. Just really something similar about the two of them. So it just kept sticking me every time she popped
Yeah.
on screen. I'm going, it's Elizabeth. Like,
Yes.
it's not.
But I'd rather assume that she's a PhD. She's young enough. She's old enough to be one. Assuming she went straight through undergraduate degree to grad school, and she's wearing the lab coat and doing. She's at home in the science laboratory. I assume that she knows. I assume she's a doctor.
Yeah. Well, as are all the invaders that are running around the lab too. Most of them are in lab coats. So I mean, are they doctors? I don't know. Are they just lab.
No.
I mean, let's face it. You put a lab coat on when you go in a place with chemicals because
that's true.
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm talking about a human character, I assume, who is qualified for her job, and
they must need her.
Yes,
they must need her for some reason. We never really find that out, but it's just kind of interesting that
I guess mainly so they can borrow her car, maybe.
Yeah, she's the only one with a car. Better keep her around. Like, we can't get through the DMV because we don't have fingerprints or something. I don't know. Yeah. So why didn't they kill Corman on the spot?
That is an odd plot hole. It would be just quicker to kill him right then and there instead of killing him later and making the rest that he would talk.
Yeah, I mean, they had him. They incapacitated him with a disc. Yet for some reason they felt like they had to run away with the job unfinished. I'm assuming they thought the job was finished.
Could have been,
but that's kind of sloppy thinking on their part. And the other thing is, and this is back to nothing can get found, but doggone it, Vincent, you keep missing your opportunities. He fights with the police officer, Invader.
He does.
They fight over that disc, and he keeps keeping the disc a little bit away from the Invader, and eventually he gets it far enough away that he has the opportunity to take his boot heel to it and crush it. Cool. Or, riddle me this, why don't you just kick it to the far end of the garage under a car?
Yeah.
Then deal with the Invader.
Then go back and get the disc.
Then go back and get the disc and
study it.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't do that. He smashes it. And even though he smashed it, there's still something there to study.
Yes,
because the alien didn't pick it up before he got killed. So presumably it didn't burn up when he burned up. That would be really annoying. All your personal equipment is keyed to you, so it burns up when you burn up. Oh, great. But no evidence of that. So there should still be a smashed disc there. And, as they described, like a metal that is nothing like any metal you've ever seen before, that even broken, it should still have those properties. It could be taken to a lab and somebody could go, I have no clue what this is. This looks like something from another world.
Evidence.
Thank you. Let's call the FBI right now.
Yes.
So we have, minor nitpick. It has only been 3 episodes since they had to go through a elaborate and painful and chemical-induced and machine-induced brainwashing technique. And now they've got the spinny crystal.
And it seems to work.
I mean, maybe it requires frequent re-energizing, but it seems to work as well as it did on Roddy McDowell.
Good point.
So,
the crystal is portable.
Yes, you just carry it around in your pocket and whip it out when you need to refresh their opinions. So that's one that I wanted to point out. So here is the thing. This is tied into my main topic, and then I'm done. I'm out of topics after I go through my main topic here. But this is the secondary part to it. We are increasingly seeing aliens like Dr. Grayson and pretty much all of the aliens that we saw in this one except for the guy at the end, who do not have monkey pinkies.
I've been compulsively watching hands in these episodes,
which is, again, brilliant on the part of the writers. It's like, if you see it, you know it, but if you don't see it, you still don't know, which is terribly clever. But I asked myself, how many get the bad finger? Is it 10%, 90%, 50%? Do they assign them their jobs after they've converted to human form? Like, oh, bad Pinky, you go in the warehouse division. Oh, good Pinky, you can be a psychiatrist and pretend to be a doctor. Is that how the aliens pick who gets a position and who doesn't? Is that they know that they've got a defective Pinky and they might be spotted by somebody, or more likely to be spotted by somebody. And would they make an exception? For example, Dr. Lanier is obviously a brilliant alien scientist. They need him. He's got some sort of an important project, which is my main point. What the heck is that thing? And he has some sort of important project, and he clearly has a problem with his transformation into human form. Is he more likely to have had a bad Pinky? Because he didn't hold his form very well. So maybe this is related in some way. And then in which case they're like, it doesn't really matter how bad your Pinky is because you are the brains. You got to do the brainy job. So we're not putting you in the warehouse.
Could be
the regeneration tubes.
It could be. I did have a question after watching this episode, even the first time. And by the way, the first time I didn't know who all the aliens were.
Which is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the second time I was looking for clues.
Right.
Okay. And so I was thinking about Grayson. Mm-hmm. Was there a human Dr. Grayson, and this is a replacement he looks just like him, and so people say, well, of course it's Dr. Grayson. And how long has this alien Dr. Grayson been in his job?
Well, I mean, there's no. Again, I think I asked that question once before. Can they recreate an existing human person, or do they just create new ones and have to assume and create an identity for them? There is nothing in this episode that I saw that has any reason to believe that Dr. Grayson has been there for a long time. He could have been at this hospital for the last 4 or 5 months. He got a job, came over, started working here, and people would know him, but they wouldn't necessarily. But I don't see any clues in anything in this episode that he is the alien until we see him in the C lab later on. And you go, oh, of course he is. Yeah, of course he is. That makes perfect sense.
Yes. And speaking of Grayson, in plotting and writing surrounding him, not the first time I watched this episode, before I realized he was an invader, I heard his objection to David Vincent speaking to Hal Corman, and I didn't see anything suspicious because, after all, there's the police lieutenant who's this guilt-ridden friend, who also had the objection, who also objected.
Yeah,
and so Grayson had a good cover on that one.
Yeah, and I think the argument that says he's in some sort of dissociative state, and psychiatry was certainly less developed, and that it's a reasonable posit that you could say or do something that might flip him over the edge permanently. So yeah, it's a great cover. But it's also but they're probably used to it. I bet the aliens have a large contingent of psychiatrists in their roles, because anyone who sees an alien, their mental sanity will be questioned. And so what better place to have your sleeper agents?
Of course.
Every psychiatrist and psychologist in the United States is an invader. That's how they've done it. It's like you just can't go to one of them without they know. It's like, oh, you've been seeing aliens. Well, and okay, even if they don't kill them, they talk them out of it.
Mm-hmm.
They talk them out of their delusions. And if they can't talk them out of their delusions, then they get electrocuted in the whirlpool bath or suddenly have a heart attack during pickleball.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. So I guess on to my main point. What is this just poorly done, or can we draw something from this? For example, clearly they've been working on this whole primordial life thing for a while,
Yes.
right? They've been building this tank, they've been doing all this experimenting, they've been creating these things of life, they've been recreating Earth's primordial soup and electrifying it and trying to do to whatever it is that they're trying to do. And then Dr. Lanier gets ill. And so they try to take him to the regeneration tubes and it does not work. And now they've got to bail water fast and they've got to use this equipment that they've already got, that they're already building somehow to regenerate him back to human form. So the question is that just poor writing that, well, we just happen to be able to, and we're not going to pay any attention to what it is they were really trying to accomplish on Earth with this plan, and we're supposed to forget it? Or are the two neatly related? Is this something that they're trying to do to create a better process of creating human forms, perhaps? One that is more keyed to the primordial nature of Earth. Maybe that would be less detectable because they are more truly human. Because so far, I think the aliens come to Earth already converted.
I get that impression because I've seen them walk out of the ships in their green jumpsuits.
Yeah. So they process them, put them on the ship, and they come out here to Earth, and then they start the invasion. But what if, they're trying to come up with a better process, or I doubt it's a weapon. It seems like a long way to go for a weapon. But if you could study the process of how life on Earth began, and perhaps compare it to how life on your own planet began, you might be able to make some sort of better hybrid, better.
Perhaps.
And I kind of have this feeling like it was probably bad writing, that they weren't thinking about that. The writer is just like, it doesn't really matter what the invaders were trying to do. Right now, they're trying to do this. It's like,
Yeah, and Dr. Lanier is crucial to it. So
yes.
In other
Yes.
words, it's a MacGuffin.
And apparently so is Dr. Harrison.
Yes, I guess he's just
Why?
He just pushes the plot forward.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. Don't the aliens have on other side? I don't know. I mean, that is where this episode gets interesting to me. It's like, what are the aliens trying to do? Sometimes it's, like just ridiculous things like, I don't know, we're trying to make meat-eating butterflies or something to, just some crazy plot to cause humanity problems. And then other times, this is much more oblique, much more scientific, and I can't see a clear purpose to it. I can't see how this furthers their ambitions, and I wish I could, because I think that would make it more interesting.
Yes, this is a series that would benefit from having a serialized story, but that was we're talking about 1967, 68.
Yeah. On the other hand, if it had a serialized story, it would necessitate too much change, I think. I mean, I just don't know. It would have to be something with a actual planned end.
It would.
Because eventually, if he keeps getting one person here, one person there, eventually you've got to get something. You've got to make some progress. And I mean, last week we got an industrialist. I think it was last week we got an industrialist.
We did. It was last time, yes.
Yeah. And the time before that, he got an Air Force guy.
And eventually have to pull these people back and help them work together.
Roddy McDowell the week before.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you're getting a little collection. Maybe you should start a band or a Usenet group or something. I don't know.
Or something. But then thinking about what television was, especially what primetime television was at the time, let's go back to another Quinn Martin production, The Fugitive. And initially the network did not want for there to be that famous last episode that ties up the story because of fears that people would not watch the reruns.
Back in the old days when the network executives gave us too much credit.
Yes.
Not now. They give you none whatsoever.
Yes.
I guess that's a not an completely unreasonable expectation. I mean, sometimes you read a book and you never read it again because you've read it, you've seen the ending, you know how it turned out, it all makes sense. Okay, cool. And other books people just go back to again and again and again. So it is, even though they know the ending. I have heard there are people who have read Lord of the Rings, not just once, but like twice.
That's a lot of reading.
It is. or the Narnia books more than once.
Yes.
Well, I can't see that one, to be fair. It's like, okay. Yeah,
I read Isaac Asimov's Foundation series 3 times.
See, and you know how it ends.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It ends with a cliffhanger.
Well, of course it does. But yeah, I don't know. Had there ever been a TV series prior to The Fugitive that had an ending? I mean, that's something for research.
I really can't think of one.
I mean, there was that famous episode where Lucy and Desi or Lucy and Ricky and Ethel and the other one drove off a cliff and died in a fiery death there in the final episode. But apart from that, I can't think of any. Ethel and what the heck was his name?
Fred
and Ethel. Yes, of course. The Mertzes.
Yes.
That I remember. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. What else you got on this episode?
Well, I did some homework on actors and filming locations.
Excellent. I didn't.
And I'll start with the filming locations. The Newport Sea Lab is really Marineland in the Los Angeles area. Marineland was a theme park that opened in 1954. It closed in 1987. It was a popular site for filming various episodes of series, and it no longer exists. There's now a housing subdivision there.
Oh, that sounds like Los Angeles. Okay, so I have questions about that then before you move on to the next location.
Yes.
Because when they pulled into that parking lot, it really had the look of, this is a very big parking lot cut into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing around it. It's like, this is a big dirt parking lot that somebody's done. So it does kind of have that fairground feel to it. And it is obviously it's on the coast. And I looked at it and I said, well, this could be some sort of Sea World kind of thing, was my first thought. And then they turn around and they look at the buildings and they look so not like a Sea World or anything of that nature whatsoever that I thought, nah, this must just be some sort of a freight place or something. And they go in, there's a fish tank, Like, oh yeah, okay. They put in a fish tank. That could be in the studio. I'm not convinced.
Well, I'm
And
sure that many, if not all, of the interiors could have been studio, but the exterior was at the time, the name was Marineland of the Pacific, and then later people knocked off the of the Pacific from the name. But I did type this in to Google, and I got historic photographs, aerial photographs of what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I started recognizing some of this. And I went to Google Earth, my friend, Google Earth, and I found the location, and I dropped down to the street view, and I started scanning the highway as I latched onto the highway behind it. And I identified the highway. That's how I found the site. And the topography looked the same. Of course, there are different buildings there now.
Right.
But I did see the highway and the hills behind it.
Well, I'm definitely sure I've seen other shows that have been shot at Marineland of the Pacific. That name rings a bell. I've never been to it, but I'm sure it's been used. But I think it was very poorly used in this episode because it does not actually look like a marine research facility in any way, shape, or form, or a zoo or a petting zoo or whatever. You don't see the dolphin tank or the whale tank or the bleachers or anything like that.
Not at all.
Not at all. So it's very odd filming technique they used on that.
But I do believe that if you watched enough television from this era and that you watched the episode where there was a water park.
Yeah.
Or it had marine life in it. That was probably the filming location.
Yeah. Not like going up to the one in Monterey for Star Trek 3, 4. Yeah. I'll tell you a story about that one because my wife's not in the room.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever told this one before. Before I met my wife, I know it wasn't before I met her, but she'd gone out that way to visit friends without me. So she had seen Star Trek 4 with me. And she went there to that aquarium and she saw it and she's like, this is the place. Because there really is the aquarium. What they don't have is a tank for the whales. That's fake. So she actually asked.
Well,
and they said, well, a lot of people ask that, but we do not have them.
Okay. Yes.
So
yeah.
I
I do know that the Cetacean Institute in Star Trek 4 is really two locations that are not even close to each other.
Of course.
I mean,
that's television or movies.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yes. Our other location is the Newport General Hospital. And the big clue was on the front which said 410 Rossmore.
Mm.
Which sent me first to Google Earth. And I found it. It's an apartment building.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like a lot like an old style apartment building with the big front door thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the magic of television.
Yes, then I went to Google and I typed in the address and I found some articles about the history of it, which people can look up at their own leisure if they so desire.
Yeah, one of the things that's kind of a shame about a show like this is it's really fun if you watch a program like Perry Mason, original Perry Mason, obviously, which is set in Los Angeles and shot in Los Angeles, right? So they are very, very often in places where you can actually see street signs and you can look them up. and you know what town they're in, and you know the area, and you can see it. And sometimes it's still there, sometimes it's not still there, and it's a lot of fun. I have to say, Google Street View and
Oh yeah.
whatnot. It's a lot of fun to do it. When you're doing a show like this, they're totally making up addresses, and if they happen to get a shot like in that building where you got it, sure. And you have to go, well, it's not really in Rhode Island, it's in Los Angeles, and you have to track it down. But it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's in California, it's probably in the TMZ, and but yeah, you have to hope somebody else has spotted it who lives in the area, or puts a key on it somewhere on IMDb or something and says, oh yeah, that was shot at Marineland.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to live in Athens, Georgia, and somewhere along the way on some of these video sharing websites, I found a few episodes of a short-lived 1980s series called Breaking Away that had Vincent Gardenia and Sean Cassidy in it. And
That was Bicyclist, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And it was supposed to be Bloomington, Indiana, but it was really Athens, Georgia. And so I remember watching some of the episodes saying, I've been in that store he just came out of.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
there was gosh, what was the name of the show? Petrocelli?
Yeah.
Petrocelli was shot in Tucson.
Okay.
Sometimes. Yeah. So I don't know that the entire show was shot in Tucson, but a lot of the location shots were in Tucson. So like you could watch the opening credits and go, I know right where that putt golf is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's weird when it's in your hometown.
It is. And I remember one scene where Sean Cassidy's character was in a store. He walked out, and then the camera showed behind him, and it shows the UGA arch.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know exactly where that is. So it is fun. Okay. And then cast.
Yes.
Frank Overton played Dr. Grayson. I recognized him.
From a million places. Yep.
I looked him up at two of them. He was the sheriff in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm-hmm.
But in the science fiction genre, he was Elias Sandoval in This Side of Paradise.
Yep. Also in a green jumpsuit.
Yes.
Coincidence? I think not.
Star Trek loved its jumpsuits. Okay. And I had to and I had to be really sure who this guy was. Jonathan Goldsmith, not is in here. His last name is given as Lippe, Lippe here, but it's Goldsmith. He played the fake cop. And do you know his most famous role?
He's Adrian Schmed's dad. No, I have no idea.
The most interesting man in the world.
As an old man, he's the guy that hawks that
Dos Equis.
Dos Equis liquor, yes. Okay. Nope, didn't recognize him. Recognize Philip Pine.
Yeah. For lots of things.
Yeah, lots of things. And I can't say that I've ever seen the guy playing the detective. I've seen him lots of times. I can't say I've ever seen him in anything science fiction, but he's, frequently the hard-boiled cop kind of look.
Yes. I noticed a lot of character actors in this one.
Yes. And that's very common with Quinn Martin Productions. He had a group of actors that he liked to use. And so, because we're talking about, Barnaby Jones and Cannon and The Fugitive and A Man Called Sloan. Anyone remember that one? And Streets of San Francisco. I don't know. I don't think Mannix was one of them. But, that's a lot of shows that ran for a lot of years. And they reuse these actors over and over and over again. Sometimes 2 and 3 times in the same series, which didn't bother me. That didn't bother me. They'd never do it now, but they do it back then. All different characters. Playing different characters. So.
Yes, it was quite. Yes, there was, and of course, this in the pre-VCR days. There weren't obsessive compulsive people like us say, "Wait a minute! In the previous season, you played a different character."
Yeah. So. What else you got? I didn't see much interesting in the actor who played Miss Lowell say that she's Hal Holbrook's wife.
Other than that, no. I did see that she was married to Hal Holbrook. I just recognize lots of people like who have made who starred various movies and mostly episodes of different series over the years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else on this episode?
No. The title of the next episode number 6, is Vikor. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
It's Vikor.
Vikor. Okay. Vikor.
Yeah. Book 'em, Vikor. Oh, no, that's not quite right, but it's close.
It does have
Jack Lord.
Jack Lord, yes. So, yeah. So
he is Mr. Vikor. That is the name. Yeah. All right. Well, Kenneth, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
Listeners, I do hope you'll join us all again next time on Fusion Patrol. This has been Fusion Patrol. Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, we hope you'll consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com/fusionpatrol or patreon.com/fusionpatrol. For our Patreon subscribers, we're currently running a special series on Babylon 5. Come join the conversation and find other content at fusionpatrol.com. You can contact us on social media where our Fediverse address is @podcast@fusionpatrol.com or by email at feedback@fusionpatrol.com. Fight the Future by Amberwolf is our theme music. You can find more from Amberwolf at bandcamp.com. This has been a Lone Locust production.